Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the one and only hosting Cruz, bringing you another exciting edition of boxing. Don't forget to hit and to like, subscribe to my channel. It's always greatly appreciated. Stay tuned. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, hosting Cruz, and guys, I am here to talk about a very fascinating matchup. One of the most interesting and fascinating matchups I've ever talked about on my channel. Pitting two Puerto Ricans. It's a battle of Boricuas. And esta pelea. Ladies and gentlemen, we got on one side Henry Moncho Lebron, one of the best pure boxers in the sport today, rising contenders. He's got an undefeated record, 19-0, 10 KOs. Not known for his punching power, but he's got a respectable pop. Excellent ring generalship IQ. Good combinations once he lets those hands go. Good defense, good offense. He's he reminds me like a Sergio Martinez, except with a little less bounce on his foot. But in terms of style, when he lets his hands go, he has his hands like a little low to his core, and he just boxes. He just shoots his hands from that distance. And then he does this, boom, he jabs, go to the side, that, sharp uppercuts, right hooks. All that stuff, man. Yes, I had to do it. That's just how he fights. He excites me. He's one of the best up-and-coming Puerto Rican boxers right now, contenders. So a similar style to Martinez. Very promising. He's got a bright future ahead of him. And he's actually the favorite in this fight. And he's fighting, and his opponent on the other side, Christopher Pitufo Diaz. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the one only Pitufo Diaz. 28 wins, 4 losses, 18 KOs. An underachiever, unfortunately. Christopher Pitufo Diaz. He's all guts. He fights anybody. Doesn't duck a soul. One of those fighters, that he's willing to step into the ring and fight anybody. And since 24 years old, he's been in tough. 23, 24 years old, he's been fighting stiff competition, and that hasn't changed, and it's not going to change on July 13 when he steps into with Henry Moncho Lebron. In terms of breakdown of this fight, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Diaz. Diaz, he's one of the most very entertaining, good boxer puncher, good jab, good left hook, good right cross, likes to mix it up. In his biggest opportunities, he's a 2-time world title challenger. In his biggest fights, he's come up short, but he's been competitive in all those 4 losses that he's had. He's fought his first world title shot against Masayuki Ito in I think it was in Kissimmee on ESPN in the main event. Diaz got dropped in round 4, but it was a hell of a back and forth fight. One of Diaz's eyes was swollen shut, and both of these guys were going at it, man. So Diaz gave a good account of himself, but he came up short. It was not enough to pick up the featherweight title of the WBO in that fight, and Masayuki Ito wound up winning that fight and becoming the WBO featherweight champion of the world. And then in his next opportunity, in the next big fight opportunity, he fought Shakur Stevenson. Diaz coming in was actually the favorite because Shakur, matter of fact, Bob Arum, he was actually afraid of making that fight happen for Shakur because he thought that Diaz would have been too much for him, and Shakur went in there and showed the opposite. Yes, Diaz had his moments. He was competitive, but Shakur was just too slick, too slippery, too sharp. Diaz never stopped fighting, but he lost by unanimous decision. Then he fought Emmanuel Navarrete in his second world title shot. Tremendous fight. Mexico, Puerto Rico, you know how that is. Again, Diaz gave a good account of himself, but he got stopped in the last round in a fight that at the time it was Navarrete, one of Navarrete's tough. He gave one of Navarrete's toughest fights at that time. And Diaz again with the heart of a warrior. Didn't want to back down, and he got stopped by 12th round in the 12th round in a very spirited effort. Then he fought Isaac Dogbo. Close fight, lost by split decision, majority decision. But it was a close fight. I actually thought Diaz won. It was a 10-rounder. I thought Diaz won the first 6 rounds with his jab and good counterpunching. He counterpunched Isaac a lot of times throughout the fight. And for some reason, the judges were able to give it to Dugbo. But it is what it is. He lost by majority decision. It was a close fight. Then he fought a guy with 24 wins, 11 losses, stopped him in 1, and then didn't fight for 2 years. And then he came back against Ridley Scott, 18-1, 1 draw, 12 knockouts. I was there. That was under the Amanda Serrano versus Nina Monique card in San Juan. One of the worst fights I've ever seen. One of the worst opponents that I've ever seen for a boxer going in as a favorite. For a boxer going in as a favorite, that opponent for Diaz was one of the worst boxers I've ever seen. He's got a good record coming in, but what you call padded. And that 18-1, 12 KOs, man, it was just, it sounded like it was makeup because the guy, when the bell rung, he was throwing his hands like no craft, no skills. Like they picked him off the street in Puerto Rico and just throw him in there. And I'm like, why is Diaz celebrating this? Okay, you got the knockout, fine. Let the referee raise your hand and move on. Now, this is now against Henry Moncho Lebron. This is totally different. Totally different. This is the real fight. This is the real challenge. And this is going to be Diaz's first real challenge in 3 years against Navarrete. Matter of fact, against Dogbo. So, and Henry Moncho Lebron, he is one of the top 126 pounds rising contenders right now. So for Diaz, who's come up short in his 4 big fights, who is actually, even though he's the bigger name and the vet and the more battle tested, fought the better competition, he's actually the underdog because of the 4 losses. He hasn't had a real competition in 3 years. A lot of people are writing him off, like, okay, Diaz, unfortunately, I have to accept that he's going to be known as a good fighter, just a good fighter. Challenged for the world title twice, and that's that. And unfortunately, it sucks because I'm a big fan of Diaz. I've been following him since he was a prospect on ESPN, and the tremendous left hook. You saw the talent, good boxer, puncher. So he had everything to be a world champion. When he was in tough from 23 years old against Ito, Shakur, Navarrete, Dogbo. He gave a good account of himself in all those fights. But even though he came short, 2 world title shots, lost. So it's like, will Diaz ever be a world champion? The thing is, Diaz is a guy that, he's a fighter that you want to see him become world champion. No matter what nationality, you want to see him become a world champion, unless you're a real hater. Because there's nothing to hate about Diaz. Diaz is a likable fighter. He's a family man. He's got 3 beautiful daughters. And he's all about those 3 beautiful daughters. Like I said, he's a family man. He acts like a world champion, a proud father, warrior in the ring, 29 years old, not old, still has a chance to become world champion. And me being a fan of Diaz, I still feel he has a chance to become world champion. And if he beats Henry Moncho Lebron, he has a chance to fight for another world title. Because beating Lebron is going to definitely get him an opportunity. But the thing is, Henry Moncho Lebron is really good. And is likely to win this fight. Don't get me wrong, these 2 guys can box, man. This is going to be a hell of a fight. High chess match between 2 good boxer punchers. Both coming in hungry. Diaz knows that he has to win this fight in order to get another world title shot. His dream, I know, he still has that dream to become world champion. And Moncho as well, who's hungry, who's never even fought for a world title. So, this is it. This is a battle between 2 Boricuas. The Battle of Puerto Rico in this one. if you're Puerto Rican, this is one of those fights that you hate to see. Like for me, for example, I like both fighters. I don't want to see none of these two guys lose, but something has to give unless it's a draw, which is highly unlikely. I want to see Diaz realize his dream of a lifetime, which is become world champion. And at the same time, I want to see Moncho Lebron become world champion. So this is the thing with this fight. You know, if you're Puerto Rican, it's a good fight. You know, it's one of those fights that, you know, that matches what's been going on here so far in 2024. You got the best fighting the best, some of the best, you know, making the best fights possible. So Moncho and Pitufo is a tremendous fight. And even though Pitufo has been through 4 losses against top competition, he's been fighting top competition forever. He's only 29 years old. He's got a chance to turn around and get that world title shot and become world champion. He's got a chance. Diaz has always had the tools to be a world champion. He's just fought some really good competition, and they were the better fighters. Slightly. But he's got another chance against Moncho Lebron. It's going to be tough to beat. But Diaz is built for that. He's been there in the trenches before, and going in there against Moncho Lebron, he's going to do it again. Will he win? We don't know. But we got to wait on July 13th. But it is going to be a tremendous fight, ladies and gentlemen. Henry Moncho Lebron, 19-0 10 KO versus Christopher Pitufo Diaz. La batalla de Puerto Rico en 126 libras. A battle of Puerto Rico at 126 pounds. It's on July 13th. This is the co-main event to Jerron Boots Ennis versus Jonathan Crowley in Philly. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Jose Cruz. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys about boxing. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.